Hello and welcome to my third video. In the last video I mentioned about this mystery of the harlot, Babylon the Great, and how it was tied going back to the fallen angels, and mentioned that on my next video, which is this one, I would deal with some of the Gnostic religions and how they're connected. The word Gnosticism, it comes from the Greek word Gnostikos, which means learned, and Gnosis, which means knowledge. So on the surface it seems pretty innocent, learned knowledge, Gnosticism. But it really describes a collection of ancient religions whose adherents shunned the material world created by the demiurge and embraced the spiritual world. So yeah, they were involved with the supernatural spirits, getting this knowledge. This learned knowledge wasn't from anything here on the earth. It was from the spirit realm, which even with the Watchtower in Rutherford, it's well known, well documented, that, and he even put out a book dealing with the messages he received from angels, the spirit realm, and it found its way in publication. So witnesses, that's part of your origin. It's tied in with this Gnostic religion. Even the word occult, which I showed the connections with the occult, with this Babylon the Great, but the word occult means hidden or clandestine, and that's what this knowledge is. It's not for everybody. It's hidden, it's secret, and we'll reveal it to you, which really is the basis and foundation for all of the religions today. Like, why do people have to go into a building and listen to somebody else interpret God's word for them, or a group of people? It's all tied in with the same. Now, trying to figure out the roots of this Gnostic to see if it all matches up. Like, does it really go all the way back to these fallen angels? Well, I found it interesting. This man named Duress, he published a book called The Secret Books of the Egyptian Gnostics, and he even mentioned that it's so difficult because they've done a good job trying to conceal themselves and their roots, where they're from, and so forth. But he dug and dug and dug, and without mentioning all the boring details, I said in plain English, he said it leads to Azerbaijan on the border of northwestern Iran. We don't know really too much about that area, but this might ring a bell. He said, there we find legends anterior to Gnosticism. Those, for instance, which attributed a sacred character to Mount Hermon. We've heard that before, Mount Hermon. The supposed residence of the children of Seth at the beginning of human existence. The beginning of human existence, yes, goes all the way back to the beginning of humankind and these fallen angels. Mount Hermon is the supposed place where these angels hatched their scheme to take on the daughters of men. And don't get caught up in trying to figure out what the children of Seth were. It's the children of God. If you do your own research, because I try to figure out why they call them the children of Seth. It makes no sense. These fallen angels, why would they be called that? It's just different schools of thought as to how they perceived that whole incident. Was it really fallen angels, or was it bad men, good men to bad women, or bad men to good women? They in human terms. But not to get lost in all of that, but the bottom line is, it does go back that far, these Gnostic religions. And I'm going to bring out something that I found really eye-popping just this past week. I've known about the name Jehovah, that it was a made-up name by Raimundus Martini. It's in the literature, the witness literature. If they go far enough back, they can find it. But in the back of my mind, I've always tried to figure out, one of the claims to fame was it's on these architecture buildings, the Tetragrammaton, the name Jehovah. And it's like, and I was at the St. Louis Arch. I've seen it. And I was like, wow, we're part of this organization. We know what that is, and we're the only ones that use it. No, you're not the only ones that use it. Here's who uses it. Encyclopedia of Freemasonry and Its Kindred Sciences by Albert C. Mackey, M.D. Jehovah is, of all the significant words of Freemasonry, by far the most important. It's in their worship. They use it freely. The Tetragrammaton as well too. It's interesting. This Regalini, I guess he must be one of the higher ups in the Freemasonry, very properly calls it the basis of our dogma and of our mysteries. the very basis of our dogma and of our mysteries. So there it is, the mystery religions. They use the name Jehovah. Sit at a meeting. He used to play this little game. Maybe not you, or maybe if you grew up as you were a little child, or you see little children, you can't really pay attention. Well, you have to pay attention. Write down, put a little mark every time you hear the name Jehovah or Jesus. Do that as an adult. You'll find out how many times the word Jehovah is used at the meetings. It's unbelievable. People are dropping the J-bomb in their comments 2, 3, 4, 5 times in their comments. They use the name. It's emblazoned in their brain, and it's for a reason. It's part of that. Information control is mind control. You can say what you want, but it's the acronym is BITE, mind control, and this is how they use it. They just keep saying the same things over and over again. Even if you don't believe, about the name Jehovah, go back to the Tetragrammaton. Try and figure out why the Kabbalists use the Tetragrammaton. Yeah, you put the letters together like going down to up, and it forms the man, the tree, the Kabbalah. It's all the mystery religions, the occultism. Alchemy is all tied in with that, and it's you go back into the folklore of Merlin the magician and all the wizards and so forth. They used alchemy. It's all part of this group. It's all connected to the mystery religions, and it all goes back to Mount Hermon, the fallen angels, and these mystery, and it all still ties in with Babylon the Great. And here's the hypocrisy of the Watchtower, because this is what they're doing every time. And there's 2 videos, and these are eye-popping. I just came across these this past week. Jehovah, the God of Freemasonry. I encourage everyone to find that. If I can provide links, I'll do so. But I'm mentioning here in case I can't. I'm not real techno-savvy yet. Maybe never will be. But the other one is YHVH, the sacred name of Satan. I know it's going to just eat at you to try. It's hard to believe. Very well documented, very lengthy videos, but if you really want to know the information and the truth about those names, concerning the Tetragrammaton, this was kind of mind-blowing to me, but it's just so simple when you think about the personal name of God. I always thought, well, if it's not Jehovah or Yahweh, at least you go back to the Tetragrammaton, and you go back to the beginning, before the burning bush, where God Almighty revealed His name. Like Moses said, who am I supposed to say sent me? It's been translated, I am what I am, and so forth. There's different variations, but it's Ijah. That's the Hebrew name. And before that, it was Adonai, Lord, Elohim, God, and then the other one was God Almighty before the burning bush. That's how God was known. And you can research the Tetragrammaton and where it came in, but don't forget the Israelites. They had apostatized the worship, and that's why God rejected them. Would it be that surprising to know that they came up with the Tetragrammaton and try to infuse it into their writings from a certain point on? Well, it's not far-fetched. But anyway, if you really want to know the personal name of God, it was revealed at the burning bush. It's not Jehovah, it's not Yahweh, it's not the Tetragrammaton. You can draw your own conclusions, but I encourage you to do your research. And maybe in the next video, I'm thinking of it now, you're talking about what Jesus said about hidden knowledge and really what we need to be concentrating on. But to kind of end this video, I want to mention something that could keep people from really responding in a positive way when they come across information like this. Because even for me this past week, just coming across those videos and really learning more about the Tetragrammaton itself, there's a part of you, because you have just emblazoned in your brain the name Jehovah or Yahweh or the Tetragrammaton especially, and it's really difficult sometimes to take information in. And the reason is because it's a condition called cognitive dissonance. And if you really want to know what cognitive dissonance is and how it can affect you, where you have information where part of your brain is saying, yes, that makes sense, it's reasonable, but but you don't accept it? What causes you to not accept things that make sense and that you could document as fact? It's cognitive dissonance. There's a man by the name of James Corbett, the Corbett Report. He did a whole series on cognitive dissonance, just so enlightening, and just it does free your mind up to be able to accept information that's hard to accept and understand what's actually happening whenever you're taking this knowledge in. It's I know even when I came, a year ago when I came across the year 1914, it was like the same thing happened. It's like I stopped doing research because there's no way. It's like I knew the year, and now I look back on it and it's a joke. The year 1914. It's so easy to accept anything negative about it at the time, and that's what happens. So James Corbett, the Corbett Report about cognitive dissonance, it's very helpful. So I'm going to stop the video now, and the next video I hope to produce, unless there's a different direction, is going to be talking about Jesus in Matthew, the 11th chapter. Some interesting statements he made toward the end of the chapter that talked about the kind of knowledge we should be taking in, the information, and we'll go from there. So again, thank you for your time. Take care, and God bless.